Not using my daughter's college fund for my stepson's rehab. The title of this story really does say it all. My husband and I have been married for 3 years now. I have a daughter who is 15 years old and he has a son who is 24. My stepson and I get along just fine. We are friendly, but we are not close. He has a mom of his own who is still alive and takes care of him in her own way. I never tried to take her place. I never wanted to. That is not what this story is about. This story is about my daughter. She is smart, kind, and so full of dreams. She wants to go to college, and I truly believe she has what it takes to get into one of the best schools in the country. Not just because I am her mom, but because her teachers say the same thing. They tell me she is one of the brightest students they have ever taught. Her future is full of possibilities, and I want to make sure she gets to chase every single one. When my daughter was just 6 years old, her dad, my first husband, passed away. It was sudden and it changed everything. He was a good man and a loving father. Even though he's no longer here, I still hold on tightly to the promises we made to each other. One of those promises was to give our daughter the best future possible. Before he passed, we both started a college fund for her. We wanted to make sure money would never stop her from following her dreams. After he passed away, his parents, my daughter's grandparents, continued to help with the fund. They added a large amount of money because they wanted to honor their son's memory. Today, that college fund has about $180,000 in it. That is a lot of money, and it is all for her. My current husband, the man I married 3 years ago, does not add anything to that fund. We have separate bank accounts and keep our finances separate. That was a choice we made together, and it has worked well until now. My stepson is going through something very hard. He has been struggling with a heroin addiction. It breaks my heart to see what it is doing to him and to our family. Addiction is a sickness, and I know that. I truly believe that people deserve help, and I have done my best to support him, but it has not been easy. Over the last few years, my stepson has stolen from us. He has taken money, jewelry, and even special things that were passed down in my family. He sold them to get money for drugs. He has taken electronics too, TVs, phones, anything he could sell. At first, I wanted to be understanding. I thought maybe if he got help, things could turn around, so I paid for his first detox treatment, which cost $1,000. It was an outpatient program. That means he did not stay at the center. He would go in for treatments and come back home. Sadly, it did not work. He did not stay clean. Then his father, my husband, paid for another outpatient rehab program. That one cost $6,500. But again, it did not work. My stepson barely went to the sessions. He missed many of them. He said he was going to do better next time. He said he just needed one more chance. I wanted to believe him, so I split the cost of another rehab program with my husband. We each paid half, and it cost another $6,500. This time, things looked better. He was doing well while he was in the program. We had hope again. But just a short time after he finished, he relapsed. He went back to using drugs. All the money, time, and energy we spent did not seem to help at all. Now my husband and my stepson want to try something different. They want to send him to an inpatient rehab center for 60 days. This kind of rehab is more intense. He would stay there day and night for 2 whole months, getting help around the clock, but it costs $30,000. When I heard the number, I was shocked. We had already spent so much and nothing had worked. We had sold or lost almost everything of value in our home. I honestly did not know how they expected to pay for this new program. Then my husband told me where he wanted the money to come from, my daughter's college fund. I could not believe it. To me, that fund is off limits. That money is not mine. It is not his. It belongs to my daughter. It is a gift from her father and grandparents. It is meant to give her the future she deserves. Taking from that fund would be like stealing her future, and I just could not do it. I tried to explain this to my husband. I told him that it was not fair to her. I told him it would be wrong to take money meant for her education and spend it on something that might not even work. I told him how I had already helped his son more than once and how I still care, but this was crossing a line. He said I was being selfish. He told me I was putting my daughter's education above his son's life. He said that medical needs should always come first. I understand where he is coming from. I know he is scared for his son. I know he is desperate, but I also believe we have to be fair. I believe we have to keep our promises. Then something happened that made me even more upset. My husband went to my daughter and asked her directly. He asked her if she would be willing to use $30,000 from her college fund to pay for her stepbrother's rehab. She did not know what to say. She got very quiet and just looked down. She did not give him an answer. Instead of letting her be, my husband got upset with her. He told her she was being selfish for not agreeing. That broke my heart. Later that night, my daughter came to me and told me she felt terrible. She said she did not want to give away the money, but she also felt guilty for saying no. I felt furious at my husband for putting that kind of pressure on her. She is just a child. She should not be made to feel guilty for wanting to keep the money that was meant for her. She should not be forced to choose between her own future and someone else's mistakes. This is not just about money, it is about keeping a promise. It is about protecting the dreams of a child who has already lost so much, and I will not let her down. The next few days after that conversation were tense. My husband and I were barely speaking to each other. Every time we were in the same room, the air felt heavy, like something big had happened and no one wanted to talk about it. But I could not stop thinking about my daughter. She had always been strong. After her father died, she had to grow up a little faster than most kids, but she never complained. She just kept going, kept trying her best in school, and stayed close to me. I knew how much her future meant to her. I had seen her sit up late at night reading books about colleges, printing out scholarship forms, and even watching online tours of different campuses. She dreamed of walking across a big, beautiful campus with books in her hands and hope in her heart. Now she was being asked to give up part of that dream. Not because she had done something wrong, but because someone else had. I sat down with her in her room one evening. She was curled up on her bed, hugging her pillow. I could see that she had been crying. "Hey," I said gently as I sat beside her. "Can we talk for a minute?" She nodded, but did not say anything. I reached over and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, just like I used to when she was little. "I want you to know that you do not have to feel guilty," I told her. "That money is for your future. It is your college fund, and it is not anyone else's to use." She sniffled and looked down at her hands. "I know, but what if something bad happens to him? What if he gets worse and we could have helped?" "That is not your burden to carry," I said softly. "You are a kind person, and that is a beautiful thing, but you are not responsible for fixing someone else's choices. You did not cause this, and you should not have to pay the price." She looked up at me with tears in her eyes. "He called me selfish." I felt my stomach twist. "That was not fair of him," I said firmly. "You are not selfish. Wanting to go to college to have a future, that is not selfish. That is normal. That is what we all want for you." We hugged for a long time. I could feel how much she had been holding in. It made me even more sure that I had to protect that college fund, no matter what. Later that night, I sat down with my husband at the kitchen table. We had not had a real conversation since the argument. I knew this talk would be hard, but it had to happen. "I need to talk to you," I began. He looked tired. His face had new lines and his eyes looked heavy. He nodded. "I love you," I said. "And I know you love your son. I know you are scared. I am scared too. Addiction is hard and it hurts everyone around it. I have tried to help him and I wish I could do more, but I cannot let you take money from my daughter's college fund. I just cannot." He looked at me without speaking for a long time. Then he finally said, "You think I do not care about her future?" "I think you care about both of them," I said carefully. "But this money, it is not a solution. We have already tried so much. What makes you think this time will be different?" He leaned forward and put his hands on the table. "Because if we do not try, he might not make it. He needs help, and this rehab center is the best one." "I understand that," I said, "but that money is not ours to spend. It belongs to her. Her father helped build that fund. Her grandparents gave money to it. They trusted me to protect it, and I will." He was quiet. I could tell he was angry, but he also looked tired and sad. "Then what are we supposed to do?" he asked in a low voice. "Let him die." "We look for other ways," I said. "There are grants, state programs, church groups, community funds." "It will not be easy, but taking from a child's future should never be the answer." He stood up and walked to the window. He stayed there for a while, just looking out. Then he whispered, "You do not understand what it feels like to watch your child fall apart right in front of you." I stood up and went over to him. I placed a hand on his arm. "You are right, I do not, but I do know what it feels like to lose someone you love, and I know what it means to keep a promise to your child." He nodded, but he did not say anything else. That night he slept in the guest room. We both needed time to think. The next morning I found my daughter sitting at the kitchen table, eating cereal. She looked a little more relaxed. "I was thinking," she said, "maybe we could help in a different way, like maybe help him find a support group or volunteer to drive him to meetings." I smiled. "That is a lovely idea. Helping does not always have to be about money." I was proud of her. Even after everything, she still wanted to help. That showed me just how big her heart really was. But inside, I still felt torn. I wanted to support my husband. I did not want to give up on his son, but I also knew there had to be a line, one we could not cross. And for me, that line was my daughter's future. The house felt quieter than usual. It was not just the silence. It was the kind of quiet that made you feel heavy inside, like something was missing. My husband had barely said a word to me in days, and when he did, it was short and distant. We were still living under the same roof, but it felt like we were living in different worlds. I tried to stay calm and carry on with our usual routines. I still made dinner, I still helped my daughter with her homework, but there was always a feeling of tension floating around like a cloud we could not escape. Even our dog seemed to notice. He would follow us from room to room, laying at our feet, his ears drooping. One evening after dinner, my daughter asked if she could talk to me. We sat down in the living room together. "I have been thinking about everything," she said quietly, "about the college fund, about him, and about Dad." I looked at her and waited for her to go on. "Do you think Dad would be okay with using the money to help someone else?" she asked. That question felt like a punch to the chest. My late husband had loved our daughter more than anything. We had both worked hard to build that fund because we believed in her future. I took a deep breath. "I think your dad would want you to be safe, happy, and successful," I said gently. "He would want you to chase your dreams. He would want you to go to college, study something you love, and build the life you deserve." She nodded slowly. "That is what I thought too." She paused for a long time, then added, "I do feel bad for him though. My stepbrother, he looks so lost, but I just do not believe money will fix it, not this time." I gave her hand a squeeze. "That is a very mature way to think about it, and you are right, money can help, but only if the person is ready, and right now I do not think he is." Later that night, I sat in bed alone, thinking about how quickly things had changed. When I married my husband, I knew that blending families would not always be easy. We both had children from previous relationships. We both had pasts, but I believed we would figure things out together. Now I was starting to wonder if we still could. The next morning, I decided to do something I had not done in a while. I reached out to my husband's ex-wife. She and I were not close, but we had always been polite with one another. I thought maybe she might know of other options. Maybe together we could help her son in a way that would not involve stealing from my daughter's future. She was kind on the phone. I could tell she was tired too. "He has drained me financially," she admitted. "I have tried to help him. I have even taken out loans, but he keeps falling back. I do not know what else to do." We talked for nearly an hour. She mentioned a community-based program nearby that was run through a local church. It did not cost nearly as much as inpatient rehab. It was not fancy, but it had helped others. I brought this idea to my husband that evening. "I called your ex," I said gently. "She mentioned a program nearby. It is run through a church. It is more affordable and has helped people in similar situations." He looked at me surprised. "You talked to her?" "Yes," I said, "because I want to help, I really do, but I cannot let you take from her fund." So I thought maybe there was another way. He sat down at the table, rubbing his forehead. "I do not know what to do anymore," he said. "Every time we try something, he fails, and every time he fails, I feel like I am losing him." I walked over and placed a hand on his shoulder. "I know you are scared, I know it hurts. But taking from one child to save another will only leave both broken. We need to try something else, and he has to want to try too." The next day, we sat down with his son. We were gentle but honest. "We cannot pay for another expensive rehab program," my husband told him. "We have tried and it has not worked. We love you, but we need to see that you are ready to help yourself." His son did not respond right away. He looked tired, his face pale with dark circles under his eyes. "I thought you would always help me," he mumbled. "We will," I said carefully, "but not like this. You have to meet us halfway. There is a local program that could help. It will not cost as much and they can guide you, but you have to show up, you have to try." He nodded slowly, though he did not say much else. I could not tell if he was truly listening or just too tired to argue. That night my husband and I talked again. This time it felt more like the old days. We listened, we talked, we even laughed a little. "Thank you," he said at the end, "for not giving up on me, on us." "I never would," I said, "but I have to protect my daughter too." "I know," he said softly, "and you are right to do so." For the first time in a long time, I felt a little bit of peace. The road ahead would still be hard, but at least we were walking it together again. The days after our conversation felt a little different. There was still worry in the air, there always is when someone you love is struggling, but there was also something new. Hope. Not the loud kind that makes you want to cheer, but a small, quiet hope that settles gently in your heart. My husband looked lighter. He still checked in on his son often and tried to offer support, but he was no longer pressuring me or our daughter. I could tell he had taken our words to heart. He started looking into the local program his ex-wife and I had mentioned. It was not a fancy place. It did not have a big name or shiny brochures, but it had a good record. And most of all, it focused on support, responsibility, and community, things his son really needed. It took a few more days before my stepson agreed to visit the program. My husband went with him. I waited at home with my daughter, feeling nervous but trying not to let it show. When they came back that evening, I looked for any clue on their faces, some sign of how it went. "He's going to try it," my husband said. "They said he can start next week." I let out a deep breath I did not even know I was holding. "That is good," I said, and I meant it. That night we all had dinner together again. It was quiet but not uncomfortable. There were even a few smiles. My daughter asked about school clubs and talked about a science project she was working on. I noticed how her eyes lit up when she talked about it. That spark, that joy, that was the reason I had to protect her college fund. She deserved to keep dreaming without guilt or fear. After dinner, she helped me wash dishes. While we stood at the sink, she glanced over at me and said, "I am proud of you, Mom." I looked at her, surprised. "Proud of me?" "Yes," she said. "You stood up for me and you still helped him too." I smiled. "Thank you, sweetie." "That means the world to me." She looked thoughtful. "I hope he gets better." "Me too," I said softly. "But no matter what happens, we will be okay. We take care of each other. That is what families do." In the weeks that followed, things started to settle. My stepson began attending the local program regularly. He was still struggling and there were hard days, but he was showing up. That was a start. My husband got involved too. He drove him there when needed, attended family sessions, and even started going to a support group for parents of children with addiction. I think that helped him see he was not alone. At the same time, my daughter continued to shine. She started working on college applications, even though she was still a year or two away. She began making a list of schools she wanted to visit. I could see her future taking shape step by step, and it made me proud beyond words. One weekend, we decided to go on a small family outing, a walk in the park, and lunch at a little cafe nearby. It was nothing fancy, but it felt like a fresh start. We were not pretending everything was perfect, but we were learning how to support one another in healthier ways. During that walk, my husband reached for my hand. We had not held hands like that in a while. "Thank you," he said quietly. "For what?" I asked. "For not leaving, for not shutting me out, and for helping me see that loving someone does not mean hurting someone else." I squeezed his hand. "I know how much you love your son, and I love you, but I also had to protect my daughter. She's been through so much already." "I know," he said, "and you were right." We walked together in silence for a while, watching the wind move through the trees. My daughter walked a few steps ahead of us, taking pictures with her phone and pointing out birds to her stepbrother. He was quieter than usual, but he smiled a little. That was something. I will not say everything was fixed in a few weeks. Life is never that simple. My stepson still had a long way to go. There were good days and hard days, but we were no longer trying to fix everything with money. We were learning to fix it with care, honesty, and patience. And most importantly, we learned that keeping a promise does not mean saying yes to everything. It means standing strong when it matters most. It means protecting the people you love even when it is hard. My daughter's college fund stayed untouched, and so did her dreams. Some people might think I was being too strict or not understanding enough, but I know I made the right choice. I did not say no out of anger. I said no out of love. Love for my daughter, love for her father's memory, and yes, even love for my stepson. Because sometimes the best help is not a check. Sometimes it is boundaries, honesty, and the willingness to keep trying in new ways. We are still a family, not a perfect one, but a real one, and we are moving forward together.